Welcome back, friends. Welcome back to our passive solar greenhouse build video number 5. In this video we're looking at the sides. That's the east side, the west side and the north side. In the last video I put the south side windows on. So first of all, what we need to do is cut some notches in the uprights, in these upright trunks, so that I can lay or fix a cross beam across it, which will help a little bit structurally. But mainly it allows me to fit the top and bottom panels onto the backs of these upright posts. So those notches are cut out, and the timbers come in 6 meter lengths, so one of 6 meters, another of 2 meters, and then I start fixing these first panels. And these are the offcuts from the south side panels, which works out nicely. They're all fixed on again with all-weather sealant as a kind of sealer stroke glue, and also gives a nice expansion gap between the panels as well. And then we hit first problem, because I noticed that one of the trunks is a little bit misshaped and needs some wood shaving off it. So use a spirit level to get a feel for what needs to be taken off, and then I use my electric chainsaw to remove what needs to be removed. The perils of using natural wood for building, and it was important to get this right first before doing the last panel, because I needed them to butt together. So I had to get this panel right first, as I'm showing as an example here, so that I could get the pencil marks down, so that I could then cut and line up this last bottom panel from this side. So I'm just carving out the post so I can get that last support in. Like so. And then we know that when the west side panels go on, they will butt up right against this last panel perfectly. So now it's time to get the larger upper panels in. These are, I've pre-cut these and put them around the side here, and they're all numbered so I know which panel goes where. And then I hit another small problem that can be dealt with a hand saw. As much as I love my track saw and other saws and electric instruments, sometimes I think the only tool that you need is a hand saw. It's still very much got its place. So third panel goes in. And then we'll get this last panel in. Again, the hand saw comes in, another small adjustment. Easily done. And then we've done the back, the north side. Right, now it's time for the west side, and I'm pretty confident in this because the design was very simple. I worked it out in the design program, and I knew how the panels needed to go. It's just a case of offering them up, penciling them out, and then using the track saw to cut them. Try and seal as much as I can as I go along. Now there will be some vertical and horizontal supports here, but I need to get them cut out first before I can do those bits later. And then when I'm working, have my first on-site accident. That beam comes over and clunks me on your head. Here we are in slow motion, frame by frame. Bang, ouch. I notice my head is bleeding, and I better do something about it. So off I go. What I didn't realise actually was that the wood had broken my glasses, and it was the glasses that had cut into my head. So I went off to sort myself out. I didn't need any hospital attention, and then it's carrying on. that truss was a little bit twisted, so I just needed to twist it around a bit just to so I could get this panel lined up. Lots of thinking, as has been the case on a lot of these videos. I'd actually run out of all-purpose sealant here, and had to use some glue caulking, which was well, needs must, I suppose. Really, it was kind of alright in the end, but not as easy as the all-weather sealant. I just wanted to get on with it really. So here we are inside the greenhouse, and I'm going to put the support in, and then I will dig it deeper into the ground as well, so it has some kind of structural strength and offers some good rigidity to the structure. This is pressurized timber, so obviously I didn't do the Shosugi ban on it. And then the next morning I cut the horizontal timber and get that in as well. And then we can go back and put those last panels on. Obviously they need cutting first, but that's that done. Okay, so we've done the west end now and finished it without an additional head injury, which is nice. And that's all okay apart from just an adjustment of the base, the kick plate, kickboard thing at the bottom, when I've got some more sealant. So now we need to do the east end, which obviously is slightly different because we need a doorway. So I'll be using the same setup there with the single piece of OSB portrait style, and then the joist or pole, rather than it being used as an adjoining piece, will be used as a door frame piece. So rather than crossing and bracing two pieces of OSB, it will be just the edge of one, and that'll be the doorway. And then the next two bits, I'll work out how I'll do it, but I'll probably do it as per the design with the two landscape, and then we'll cut them, join them to be a doorway. Up to the collar tie, which will be the top of the doorway. The fan goes up there. It's 30 centimeters. It's on order, and that gap is exactly 30 centimeters. I know that there's a little bit of just want a maximum airflow really, but I don't really want to. If I can help it, I don't want to do away with the collar tie. I know in the design I did, but I've changed my mind on that now. So yeah, I'll continue with the time lapse, and we'll see how we get on today. It's about 3 o'clock now, I think. So on with the east side. Much the same as the west side, at least to begin with, which I just talked about. Just making sure that panel's square, or as square as can be really, before I mark it out. And then we'll get that sawn up with a track saw. And Nora was keen to come out and start doing some videoing herself. She wants to learn how to make videos, so here's some of her stuff in set, as it were. She approves of the first panel, and then we can get going with the door frame, which will also offer support to that first panel. Again, I'm going to dig a hole and set it into the ground for extra strength. Last thing I wanted to do now is to hit a stone, but thankfully there weren't any. Compact the soil back in, and then that bit's done. And then I'll do the other side. So then I can start marking up the panels, and I'll know which section is for the door and which section is to remain in place. Obviously I don't want any wastage here because I want to use both sides really. I guess this is probably the most complicated cut because of the doorway and the fact it needs to go over the top. There we are, cut that out. The hole for the fan will come later, but next I want to move on and do the door. So here you can just see me making the frame, and then I'll adjust the panels to fit. Obviously the door needs to be slightly smaller than the hole itself. I was really surprised actually when I finished this how heavy it was. I don't know why I was surprised, but I always think of doors as being light things, but I mean, this OSB is not particularly light. I realised I didn't have the right hinges to finish this, so I moved on and got the fan hole cut out. I gave myself about 15mm as an edging strip, and then cut it out with a jigsaw and just sanded that down. So I'll get that panel up, and then we can get the fan in and fitted for wiring in later on. I also needed to have a bit of a think about how I can give some protection to this fan, which you'll see later on. So I've got my hinges now that I wanted to use, pretty heavy duty ones. I think they are for internal doors really, but never mind, they work well. Doors sorted, just a few adjustments so that it can close tightly, and then I'll just finish it off with the bolts. And then last of all, I found a piece of metal roofing. It's actually from a ridge tile, well, a metal ridge from the main house project that was left over, and that worked out perfectly as a cover, or cowling maybe is the right word, for this fan. And then put that on with some metal brackets and just put on a bead of seal or weather sealant, and that job's done. Thanks for watching this build video. Do go and check the other build videos in this series if you've not seen them already. And there's plenty of other videos about this topic of passive solar greenhouses on our channel. Thanks for watching. Hit that like button if you've not already. And I look forward to seeing you in another video very soon. Bye for now.